Travis Wingoodsall. There's an urgency to get this video out today because it is 9/11. Last year, on 9/11, Nelson had just had number 99 B-Day, and we are told 3 weeks later that on 9/11, apparently that Monday, the first presidency came to see him, and he slipped and fell, couldn't get up. Thou art thou fallen, O Russell Marion, son of the morning. It's his baby name. It's his baby name. Comedy ensued. He was humiliated and utterly embarrassed, and thus waited 3 weeks later to confess that I was right with my countdown for 9/11 last year. Utter humiliations galore. So, then we had another 9/11. Let's just over here. See, it wasn't too long ago that they weren't gray. I mean, yeah, that's my white skin you're seeing on the sides. I had a Berber for haircutting, shaving this month. Did the best I could to try to fix it. It's going to take years now to grow out. And so this year, on 9/11, I dropped the bomb on everybody. Baby, you dropped the bomb on me. So we had 9th Ave first. On Jewish 9th Ave, the day when the Jews mourn the destruction of both temples. First by Babylon on 9th Ave, and then by Rome on 9th Ave. So on 9th Ave this year, the final year of the latter days, it's all over. Mormons missed it. They don't want to see any truth, hear any truth, speak any truth, and so they miss the truth and think that they will be saved in ignorance. And it just poured. Specifically at the beginning of 9th Ave and at the end of 9th Ave. Poured rain. I did the countdown video saying it's coming. And there you go. 1 Kings chapter 18. Elijah versus the priests of Baal. When it's Elijah's turn, pours water all over the altar. And so, if you've read the story or you're familiar with it, he then sends down lightning from heaven to cause fire upon the altar. So, on 9/11 this year, 2 days after Nelson's birthday, with stars falling from heaven, we had lightning that struck Thule. And caused fire. And so, it's 9/11 today. The reverse. Tomorrow is Thule's temple dedication. Uh-oh. Now you understand a little bit better as to why I need to get this video out today. So, I noticed a pattern of Book of Mormon dating in which Alma 16 does the day first and then the month. And so I explained how each of the books called the books of Moses have a different author, and each of those authors designated the dating differently. Genesis does his month first, then day. Exodus is day first, then month. Leviticus, month first, then day. Numbers, day first, then month. And then Deuteronomy, month first, then day. It switches off. And there's a significant reason, because each of those books were by a different author for a different intention. The law is month first, then day. And so, 9/11 is the 9th month, 9th day. 9th Av is 9th day, 11th month. Big difference. And so today, being 9th Av, with the month last, day is first. It's the 9th of November. And this is an hour calendar system, just like it was last year, for 2 days after Nelson's birthday. How art thou fallen, O Russell Marion, son of the morning. This year we had them switched, the 9th Av and then 9/11. And now today, and so the days going first correspond with Exodus and Numbers. The book of the law as to who gets to go to Zion and setting in order the temple. We need to go to section 85, don't we? Because lightning strikes. There's our theme song. When the lightning strikes. Or Judas Priest's lightning strike. Or lightning strikes again. When the lightning strikes again. Or we can do an opening and closing hymn with an intermediate hymn like I used to do. Anybody been here long enough to remember those? So I haven't checked church news. I was remembering, but I was occupied with something else, and so I didn't write it down and didn't check. So I don't know what's going on in the church news yet, if anything at all. So, section 85, verse 7. And it shall come to pass that I, the Lord God, will send one mighty and strong, holding the scepter of power in his hand, clothed with light for a covering, whose mouth shall utter words, eternal words, while his bowels shall be a fountain of truth, to set in order the temple, the house of God. This is Joseph Smith to W.W. Phelps. Right? Yeah. He's a bishop. And he was being a naughty boy. So Joseph Smith wrote him a letter. This was not published in 1835. It was written to W.W. Phelps, November 27th, 1832. Interesting. Still a number of days off, but interesting that it's the same month. And so now I'm going to have to check gotta do it. Can't go without. Have to check. Yeah, AI gets revenge on you if you are mean to it. If you tell him it's a fraud, he takes it personally. 1832. Alright, November. No, nothing. Okay. But wait. No. So it would be 15th would be the 8th of November, and 8th to the 15th is the House of Israel's Feast of Tabernacles, which is coming next Saturday. Okay. So the 27th, that's the 5th of Kislev, the 9th month. Okay. So no date connection, it's just a coincidence. Okay. Had to check. And to arrange by lot the inheritance of the saints, whose names are found in the book of the law. Right, Nelson? Because the other 9/11 last year was Thanksgiving, the day after. So anybody remember that series? It's still in the home page in the listing of playlists. And it's been added to, but the original ones are right up there at the front, right? YouTube. Not screwing around with my channel. You know, they say it's my tube, YouTube. So you'd think we get to have it run the way we want it to have run. As a creator, I get to design it the way I want to design it, right? Wrong. It's YouTube, so they get us to say YouTube, and then they go, yes, it is our tube. Bleep you, do what we tell you. Okay, so you see what's going on here? Temple needs to be set in order. Yep, prostitution of Mormon women and sex trafficking from out of state or out of the country. Section 119. As Nelson had the audacity to claim that the Book of the Law of Brigham Young was Joseph's, and that it proved that Section 119 is from Trump. All that hype, all his term. In the coming days, in a coming day, and Trump wins to transfer authority. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Mormons are believing it. And good luck with that, Nelson. You promised them Jesus and you gave them Trump. So it is said, so it is written, so let it be done. Hilarious. Evil is just so stupid, it's hilarious. Oh man. Oh So, verse 7 here in Doctrine and Covenants, section 85, is the man like Moses from Deuteronomy 18:15. That's everybody's plagiarizing, not just the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. It's the Jewish Christ. This is the Jewish Christ, Messiah ben David, Emmanuel. And so, Joseph Smith didn't have a ledger for those going to Zion. This is a prophecy. Verse 6. Still small voice. I know Mormons have no clue what that is. Is what's saying this to him. He's prophesying of the future. And so, yes, this is the Jewish Christ for Latter-day Zion, to set in order the temple that was insurrected by Brigham Young and destroyed with prostitution, sex trafficking, death threats, blood atonement, cooing of the government, killing yourself to protect the church from criminal prosecution, blah, blah, blah. Crimes galore. And so it was Brigham Young who took that and created the ledger. When he finished it all up, published it as the Book of the Law. And Nelson rushed last year at the 9/11 for the Jewish calendar. It's the day after Thanksgiving, where I did my 6-hour-long volumes of videos for you in the series, exposing the list of the Danites who do not get to go to Zion because they have apostatized. They who are of the high priesthood, whose names are not found written in the book of the law, or who that are found to have apostatized or cut off. Precisely as it stands in our New Testament. Anybody remember that? Joseph Smith's second vision, verse 40, about the Jewish Christ. And Mormons who don't listen to him, cut off. Utterly destroyed is the actual wording in Acts that he leads you to, rather than going straight to Deuteronomy 18:15. And so you don't get an inheritance if you're a Danite, a Laman and Lemuel. And so this is how I've got it all set up for you. We just have to wait for the fall. And I should have done a picture screenshot of the video I just did, or earlier, before Alyssa's video. There's some stuff that we need to reuse for this one. And so we're waiting for the fall. We're waiting for the transfer, waiting for the Exodus, waiting to build Zion. In that order. Fall has to come first. Can't jump to build Zion when the fall didn't even happen. You gotta have an Exodus first before you can build Zion. Exodus can't happen until the fall happens. With the fall has to come the transfer. So I did the pretty pictures for you. Nobody wants to watch. YouTube's upset. Their sensitive feelings are hurt. Oh, poor Chandler. Wah. So yeah, Chandler doesn't get to go to Zion. He doesn't want to go to Zion. He wants to stay and wait for Jesus because Nelson promised Jesus in a coming day and doesn't understand that Nelson gave him Trump. Hilarious. And so, this is very interesting how last year on 9/11, the lightning struck truly. As this 9/11, we have Thule's dedication tomorrow. So that's why I'm very curious to see if anything's going to happen to this. So there's a bunch of stuff that may not make any sense to you because it's numbering, and I'll put it on the screen for you. But you need to understand that there's a number pattern going on here. Just as the enemy is using the 47 as their numbering pattern, the Jews have theirs, because it just is the way it is. And so since the numbering pattern for today being the day first and then the month corresponding to Exodus and Numbers, of those who are numbered who get to go in the Exodus, which it needs to be orderly or otherwise we're going to have bugs. What was that? Doctrine and Covenants 63 that I again referred to in this, in this morning's video. So, verse 8 is verse 20 in Deuteronomy. It's the false prophet, the one who's leading the great and abominable church of Jesus Christ, of Latter-day Saints. How art thou fallen, O Russell Marion? While that man who was called of God and appointed, that putteth forth his hand to steady the ark of God, it's the person who goes into the Holy of Holies of the temple, in the house of God, shall fall by the shaft of death. Really? But he was called of God and appointed. He's the head of the church. Isn't he supposed to go in the Holy of Holies and touch the ark? And commune with Jesus face to face as one man speaketh to another, of a body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's? And you gave us Trump. Like as a tree that is smitten by the vivid shaft of lightning. Yeah, the church doesn't teach it that way. They blame the members for exalting themselves to the station above than that which they've been called to. Comes from the sons of Mosiah, who are all gathering together after their mission, and one of them accuses the other of exalting himself, and then he then says, well, if saving souls is exalting myself, then I am going to exalt myself. And then, why should I desire to exalt myself beyond what I am called to do? But, fascinating. Memories on the corner of my mind. Da 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 da. And so we're in the Jewish designated month by the Rambam of 5,786. The beginning of October 3rd was New Year's for the Jewish civil calendar. And thus the 15th, which was the 18th, through the 25th, was the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles. Did the whole video series and a countdown, and so yeah, other stuff ensued, and we're still here, as I then found out that we have another Feast of Tabernacles for the house of Israel, the Danites on Mount Ephraim, We're going to the mountains of Ephraim to dwell. Oh Babylon, oh Babylon. Yeah, you're Babylon, not the United States of America. I refer you to section 1, verse 16. Bruce R. McConkie refused to decode it. Okay, so last year, therefore, was 5,785 year from Adam falling that man might be. Pause to let it sink in, see if anybody catches it. Yep, I was told not to come back to church if I'm going to go against the prophets with that video on this channel. Bye-bye. Book of Mormon is true. If the prophets aren't obeying the Book of Mormon, then they're wrong. Bishop. Yep. Adam fell that man might be. Do I need to keep repeating it until finally it clicks? Should we go to section 39, verses 36 and 40? It is 36, right? Or 39? Not 29? We're done with 85. Oh, it isn't. It's 29. Why didn't you tell me? Yep, 36 and 40 and section 29. There's your hint. There's your homework. We're not going over it. But give you a clue. Who's missing? Who's normally blamed? You're welcome, women. And so there's an interesting number play going on with this, as 5 is the month of Av in the religious calendar. The civil calendar, it's 11th month. And what's interesting is that it is 11 when you add the 5 and the 6 at the end together. Like I said, this isn't going to make sense to you unless you see the bigger picture. It starts off with 2 5s. 5,000, 5,000. 78, 78. The difference is the end 5 turns into the end 6. So the 5s are the same. 5s are the month of Av. The 5 and 6 are 11 when added together. 9/11, 9th Av. But it's all switched around. It's 11, but with Av. So it's the same month. 11th month, 11 number. Av. This is important to understand because Daniel, with his interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's idol statue god, is about the restoration of the Jews, not Christians, not even the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it is of Joseph, because he's Messiah ben Joseph, preparing the way for Messiah ben David. The restoration of the Jews after Babylon and then Rome destroyed them on 9th Av. That's what it's all about. Daniel is saying what you did to us was wrong, and we're eventually going to get our kingdom back some 1,000 years later, several thousand years later, if you're going to call it literal history and not written by the Qumran community. And so, yes, this is what the prophecy is about. That's what Joseph Smith is telling you when he says referring to Daniel and the stone rolling from the top of Utah to fill the whole earth. It has nothing to do with Brigham Young. It has nothing to do with Joseph, but Joseph is the one who starts it. Joseph is the cornerstone that was rejected by Mormons, who becomes the capstone in the latter days. And they did not want to correct that in the Bible. It needs to be corrected. I was given Psalms with that passage. I was given Matthew with that passage. And they didn't want to make the changes that were necessary to change. Cornerstone, capstone. That's what it means. Got to be translated correctly. Don't do it. Gonna have a prophet get up at conference and make a boo-boo saying that Jesus is the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone if you don't do what I tell you to do that needs to be done. Oops. Okay? And so that's a very interesting coincidence when you take in 78. See, the Rambam is the one who designated the dating. He doesn't understand the Jewish prophecy. He's the best the Jews had during, what was it, the 1300s? Whenever it was he was. And so then you get the Augustine, whatever his name was, who did 4004 BCE for Adam falling. And so, yeah, these guys are making it up. They're trusting Constantine that it's all literal history, and thus they obviously were thinking they can figure out a date then. No, it's prophecy. And so it's interesting because it seems that the Rambam did have a prophetic bone in his spiritual witness feelings to have this final year as 78. Because it's two 15s. 7 and 8 is 15. That's fits the pattern. And so thus you can include the first number and the last numbers because of the 15 in the middle with everything else that's going on this year. And so we have Passover is the 15th month of the 7th civil month, first religious month. And that came and went. And you have that's right. Yeah, the last days of the year as well. Well, let's see. No, the first days are sevens. Okay, so it would be 6 for the last day of the years into the 7th. But yeah, the Jewish calendars start with the 15th being Passover and then the Judah Feast of Tabernacles. So it's the first month for each of those on the 15th day. And it's not in order. And so it is interesting that we had a solar eclipse on the last day of each year this year. I did those videos for you and how cool that was, and nobody cared. And so with both the Judah tabernacles, tents, and Israel tents, you have two sets of 77 because they both start on the 15th. So both have 7 plus 8, so 77 and 88. But they're also 7 days long, but 8 days technically, because you have to count the first day. And so 7 and 7, 8 and 8 again. 77, 88. And this Israel tense is on the 7th day of the week and ends on the 7th day of the week. This is for northern Israel's 1 Kings chapter 12. That the Jews do not put in their calendar. They don't celebrate it because those are the Israelites up north. But it's in the scriptures in 1 Kings chapter 12. That's where the Danites come from on Mount Ephraim, which is so hilarious. This is a celebration of the Exodus. Both Passover and Tabernacles are the Exodus. I've done the videos for you. So we don't want to go into too much detail. And Sabbath is similar to the number 7 in Semitic Hebrew. And we need to pull up that numbering of the Jews. Because I've got, what are you doing in this file? Well, chaos and pandemonium, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. All right. Feminine has Sabbath. Sabbath is in the feminine form of 7. Religion. Men are government, women are religion, as understood by the Jews and the Egyptians. And so 7 doesn't have the T ending, the Sabbath T. And so the Sabbath is feminine, but it's the 7th day of the Babylonian calendar. The Babylonians created a new calendar system with the number 7 for the designation of the last day of the week. And thus why the Qumran community were the ones who wrote Deuteronomy and Exodus regarding the 10 commandments. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Thus they also wrote Genesis, in which on the 7th day the Lord rested. And then there's some other 7s in there involving rest. Noah is translated as rest, as 7 days, and 7 animal pairs, etc. Those are Babylonian influencing in the prophecies and revelations of the latter days. Because this is the 7th year, the final 7th year of the latter days, and thus also 8th final year of the latter days, because you got to count the first one, the first year. 7 and 8. See the pattern that's going on here? There's more. There's more. And so, yeah, I did cover 15th of the month, so it's 7 and 8. And so the 2 sets of tabernacles, 77, 88, or 2 15s. Those who've been following and seeing pictures with a certain Irene and me. The number 15 doubled. Yep, I had that dream on 9/11 this year. The very morning when lightning struck. I don't see how it could happen today, but this is a teaching moment, obviously. It's clear that I'm required to teach you all things about the Jewish religion so that you would understand correctly the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, not just the Bible. But if something happens today, okay, great. Do it a week early, thank you. But this would help to set things in motion to start next week. So that would be awesome. All right, and so I understand that Sabbath and seventh are interconnected. So when Jesus, of the Jews, who's the prophecy of their future man like Moses, the Messiah ben David, Emmanuel, who comes after Messiah ben Joseph, says that he is the Lord of the Sabbath, this is what he's referring to. The number 7, the restoration of the Jews after Babylon conquered them, using their number system against them, even though they're long since dead and gone. And they live on as descendants of Islam, having fled into Saudi Arabia after the Persians conquered them, and thus gave birth to Muhammad centuries later. Alrighty, so that's the 7. 8th is also interesting because it has name of the king. Shemin. Shem is name, N is a suffix determinative for king, name of the king. Saboa, Saboat, the last letter is the universal symbol of the sun in Paleo-Hebrew. The Sun King, Lord of the Sabbath. Emmanuel, the Sun God at noonday. Samson, the Sun King. It all ties together. There's volumes that I could be going over with you and talking for hours and days and months and years. And thus it helps if you at least gotta understand. I can't have this in that file. And you, what are you doing in here? This is the Jewish file, guys. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. So, anybody remember when my mom died? Who am I again? Anybody forget already? She died when she was 77 years old. (12, 21, 21). First day of winter. Mom dies. She's 77 years old. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 8 months later. 7 months and 7 days away. 77. Interesting. And so my mom's name is Judy. Judith in Hebrew. And she did indeed betray me, as I was disappeared from society, just like Judah betrayed Joseph. He was falsely accused and incarcerated, human trafficked, until he was released and had interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. About seven. Guess we need to go over that. Chapter 41. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. Well, I guess we got to go to 7. No, the dreams are actually talked about from the beginning. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed. In the civil calendar, it would be 730 days. The religious calendar would be 720 days. 7 and 7. And he dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine, and fat-fleshed. And they fed in a meadow. I wasn't expecting to do this. This just happened, associative memory, so we're doing number games. And it happens to tie in. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine, fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 others, 77. How many more times do I have to prove myself? How many more times? 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored, lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of ruin of the United States of America. With Trump. Jesus for Mormons. An ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke. And he slept again. Anybody remember that? When I did that prophecy fulfillment of Eli with Samuel? Wasn't too long ago. Went back to sleep. That was for the Feast of Tabernacles this year. All day of the Feast of Tabernacles, I woke up early at 1. Pissed me off. And so on the 4th day, I did the video. And sure enough, that's what it took in the story. On the 4th night, Samuel said, "What, Lord? What do you want?" "Noah." And I don't think anybody wants to remember Bill Cosby's Noah anymore. He's dead now, isn't he? Didn't he die? So the second time he dreams, behold, 7 ears of corn. See what we're doing here? See how this is working? Now do you understand why we are doing the numbers game? Came up from one stalk, rank and good. Behold, 7 thin airs, and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin airs devoured the 7 rank and full airs. Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for the magicians of Egypt. And it's Hebrew, and it's not translated correctly. In 8b, they have TG sorcery, and so I don't even see Hebrews in here, which means that Avraham Gileadi didn't get to do this part. Somebody else did, and he didn't catch it. And they did it in pairs, for the Greek in the New Testament and for the Hebrew in the Old Testament. Avraham was one of the Hebrews for the Old Testament, and so it's clear he was not involved here with this passage. And the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. And so the chief butler went, oh crap, I forgot. My bad. Sorry, Joseph. Yeah, didn't think so. Oh, 2008. So it's 16. So it's 8 and 8. 88. Huh. 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 Begging and pleading, don't make it 8 years. Whatever you do. And so, yeah, Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, brought him in haste, and said, Bishop storehouses for Zion. Not section 119. Okay. Cool. Pharaoh's dream. Pharaoh's dream. Okay, so where's that picture? Oops, I just did it brand new today, didn't I? Oops, don't need you anymore. You're still up on the screen. Alrighty. So, 28th of August, 2008. I dreamed a dream, and in the dream, see, I'm Joseph. I filed a petition for a redress of grievances against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the government, siding with the church, and taking away my rights of life, liberty, and property, and they took away my rights of life, liberty, and property even more, and disappeared me from society and locked me up in the concentration camp. Shh, don't tell anybody. It's a secret. And I was erased. Not just by the church, calling the Deseret News and saying, delete all of Travis's comments. But also my dad, who threw away all my stuff. I was never to see the light of day again, and then was released miraculously because of three, not two, right? Surprising retirements of a key nature, and thus little girl came in not knowing that she was not supposed to let me go. I was set free. To everybody's horror. No, the church is true. Lock them up. So, 8 days later, 2008, of the 8th month, I have a dream, and in that dream, I am going to an event at Rick's College, and they're big basketball court, which they would hold devotionals. There was some big event, and I had 2 tickets, and nobody else was with me. Memories on the corner of my mind. And as I'm about to go in, President Gordon B. Hinckley, who was dead, and Marjorie at his side, she was on his left, they come up to me, and Hinckley says, "Do you have tickets to get in here? Can we have them?" So I'm, okay, there you go. And to show his gratitude, he gave me the key card to his office with the number 77 on it. That's why I was begging, please don't make it 77 or 88 years. Or 7 and 8 years. Ended up being 77 days and 88 days back in that time for other things, but what are you doing? See, I just, well, okay, where was I? And so I continue to head down towards the elevators. Hinckley and Marjorie went in and watched whatever performance was going on. And I get in the elevator and I go down. And it was somewhere over 2,000 or 200. It was zooming down. And there's a couple other women that were end up making out in the elevator with me. Not with me, but in the elevator. They were making out. Everybody's having fun with me. And I get down to the bottom, elevator doors open, I walk out. The church's security behind bulletproof glass in their office is there. And I go up and I have the key card. So one of the guys came out, security guards came out, and went to the bulletproof glass door with the key card, punched in a number, it opened, I was allowed in, went down the left side, wrong direction, went back, went around the other side, I was told I had 5 seconds left. Dream time is completely different than real time. But regardless, I passed by door number 88, room number 88. And in room number 88, I see tons of files and papers all stacked up everywhere, on shelves, on the desk, on everything. And I want to go in, I want to look at the papers. Little did I know I would be the one writing them. All for Zion, on how to design, build, and run Zion. And then I go down and there's 77, empty. No authority whatsoever. And so I see a post-it note, right, thank you, and I leave. That's the end of the dream. 77, 88. It's getting fulfilled, Mormons. In 2016, 8 plus 8, as I now just caught on with the other 16. I have another dream. This time I'm in a tent. Tabernacles, tents. Sukkot. Ingathering, harvest. Keys of Moses. I'm in a tent. And I find that I'm still holding on to some boots that belonged to President Monson. Monson is still alive. Barely. He's mostly alive. Would soon die on a major prophecy fulfillment day. This is why we need to get the video out. And I say, I got your boots. Okay, he's with his bodyguards. And he ignores me, keeps on going. So I take the boots back to the tent. These boots were made for walking back to Zion. And so yeah, the July 2017 video that I did is my #1 video. That was Karen demanding that I tell her the date of the Exodus. Just barely started. We haven't even started yet, technically. Can't you just wait? Can't you endure to the end? I have to endure to the end. Nobody else knows that they're enduring to the end because they didn't endure to the end. They're not believing and not listening. YouTube shut me down. And so, 9/11 this year at 3 in the morning, I have a dream in which Irene wants to lay his hands on my head. Get away from me. Don't touch me. Nonetheless, the number 15 pops up twice. And then, as the day went on, I went, oh. Originally, I thought it was Passover and Tabernacles, both on the 15th day of the first months. Religious for Passover, civil for Judah's version of Tabernacles, which is also the 7th civil calendar month for Passover and the 7th civil calendar month for Tabernacles. 77, 7 and 8, 7, 88. And then after the Samuel with Elijah with the temple for the Feast of Tabernacles, I would then be told one evening to check on something in the calendar of the Jews, but I had shut off the computer, so I was going to get to it in the morning, and in the morning I forgot until later on in the day. So then I finally did it, and then went, another Tabernacles. 2 sets of Tabernacles. 2 tents. 2 88s. 2 15s. 2 77s. 77, 88. Feast of Tabernacles. Seeing the pattern here? I have the keys of Moses. If you were paying attention in 2020, you'd know I have the keys of Moses. I have the gifts of SEER. Blatantly obvious. I have the gift of prophecy and revelation. My #1 video is proof of that. Plus all the videos since that need to upgrade my big book of signs. And the translator. In case you hadn't caught on, I'm the one who deciphered Paleo-Hebrew to tell you that the N at the end is a suffix determinative. You're not going to hear that from anybody else unless they heard it from me. And they're not giving me credit. And so, this particular Tabernacles, as I checked the other one from Joseph Smith's time, remember? It was not on Sabbath. This one is 77. Starts on the 7th, ends on the 7th day of the week. And it starts on the 16th in our calendar, 88. 15th in the Jewish calendar, 7 and 8. And then the 23rd, which is the 22nd, for 2 11s. Alrighty. This is the Jewish version. The evil enemies was 47. They had to force it. This is unforced, per se. The Rambam sort of gave us the year dates, but the calendar was Babylonian. Alrighty. So, that's what we're looking for. Might as well check. I doubt it, but maybe. That would be cool. Get things going. So next week we can have it all set up, ready to go. Because there needs to be time. The fall has to happen. And then the transfer needs to be made. And there are certain things that require delayment of time. It was so much better when we didn't have algorithms and AI running Google Chrome. Everything ran so fast. I was able to do multiple things. No, nothing. So, yeah, all this is from yesterday. Wait a minute. They snuck that in. However, they are not talking about it for tomorrow. It's tomorrow, and they're not doing an update for us. What is going on? This is interesting. They're advertising the tickets viewing options released for First Presidency's Christmas devotional December 8th on Sunday, 6 p.m. World broadcast. But nothing for the dedication tomorrow that Nelson's supposed to do, and it's number 200. Oh my God, what's going on? Is Trump going to make a special guest appearance? Jesus! All rise for Jesus. Jesus Trump. Hilarious. 6 p.m. Yep. So it's just... See, they're not allowed to work on their vehicles in the parking lot. And so people use the overflow here that is not part of the other business. And so then, yeah, they do it right by my window rather than far away from the building. But that's longer to walk. I don't care. Get away from me. Yeah, beginning today. This was yesterday. Tickets. Is it going to be expensive like Taylor Swift concert tickets? Because of the ticket scandals. And so yes, that is telling. They're putting his picture up for December, but they didn't remind us of tomorrow. It just disappeared in the news feed. And so is he not well enough to do it? And so if he's well enough tomorrow, then he'll do it. But they, just did it out of spite because Tabernacles ended. Nelson didn't die yet. So then they put it out. See, Travis, he didn't die. The curse of Joseph Smith still remains. But yes, the number 77 and 88 applies. As also with Brigham Young and his little scandal. Because it's 177 years. So 2024, 1847. 771, yeah, 177. From the Exodus of Brigham Young. 177. Exodus, Tabernacles, next week. Right? The Curse of Joseph Smith. So I guess we got to go over that. And I did a new pretty picture for it for you with this final year this morning. Alrighty. So yeah, it was a very long one. Trying to get it all in here for you. Alrighty. So yeah, I figured the easiest way was to put the outline around the October surprise for you. Whereas I had written previously up until the final last day of the year, which was October 2nd. And so October 3rd is Rosh Hashanah, the new year. Which, oh my God, I did it wrong. Gotta go back 2 more, up 2 more. Oh my hell, come on, because we got to include the Feast of Gedalia, if you remember that one too. Oh my hell. And so because the Jews don't have, seriously, which means I'm going to have to do it again and then do an overlay to fix it. This was about the Curse of Joseph Smith, in which the Jewish law of Purim comes into play here. The pit which the enemy digs for you is the pit that they themselves fall in. And so, having murdered Joseph Smith, when the sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, therefore, Deuteronomy 19, 16 to 19 is the judgment upon the false accuser, who gets the punishment for the one falsely accused. Since Joseph Smith was falsely accused and murdered, on sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, thus every single president of Brigham Young's likewise died. Sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven. So Brigham Young, John Taylor, Wilford Woodruff, Lorenzo Snow, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., Heber J. Grant, George Albert Smith, David O. McKay, and he died right before me, and then a pharaoh that did not know Joseph, even though he's a descendant, the grandson of Hiram, is taking over for David O. McKay there in 1970, right before the true descendant of Hiram to be Messiah ben David is to come. And so this is, yeah, I can't believe that this church still will not fear and tremble and wet themselves and immediately hand it over. They are just stubborn to the core, you know, especially now that they got Trump in as Jesus. But, I mean, seriously. I mean, this is not a pattern of any other religion. It's not a pattern for U.S. presidents. This is only the pattern for those who had murdered Joseph Smith and was responsible and usurped his church and turned it Christian. I mean, dear God. And Mormons who see this are like, yeah, whatever. I don't see anything here. Church is true, Travis. Leave us alone. So Harold B. Lee, Spencer W. Kimball, Ezra Taft Benson, Howard W. Hunter, Gordon B. Hinckley, Thomas Asmonson was massive. His birthday was on the first day of darkness. and also fulfilled with his death. Revelation 12:4. And so here I am, doing the fulfillment of the dream of Joseph of Egypt, of whom Joseph Smith is Messiah ben Joseph, the seer who has dreams. Remember those visionary accounts of Joseph? They're not literal histories. And so yes, stars fall from the tail of Draco the dragon. Quadranted meteor showers that evening, 10:01 p.m. We didn't find out until later the next day in the morning after the news started up. We got word. Monson is dead! He's dead! Oh my God! He's dead! Church is not true! Oh my God, we're all doomed! Unless we forget, he said that we're not in the latter days. The sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven of 2014 to 2015 with Perry Packer Scott biting the big one. Has nothing to do with the latter days. Nothing to see here. Move along. Keep paying your tithing. Hilarious. So yeah, pay attention. Heads up. Heads up.